folks, and welcome to Typology, the show on which we explore the mystery of the human personality and the great adventure all through the lens of the Enneagram. My name is Anthony Skinner, your producer and co-host. So happy to have you here today, folks. We got a great guest for you. Our guest today comes in identifying as a 2, but we take a little journey, and he may not be 2. He might be type 2, but he might be another type. We explore that today. You get to experience that in real time with us, talking about Heath Hardesty, author of All Things Together, How Apprenticeship to Jesus is the Way of Flourishing in a Fragmented World. Heath is lead pastor of Valley Community Church and the founder of Inklings Coffee and Tea, a welcoming gathering place in the heart of downtown Pleasanton, California. He holds degrees in literature, leadership, and theology from the University of Colorado, Boulder, and Western Seminary in Portland. In this conversation, we dive into his new book, his life of spiritual apprenticeship, and the unfolding journey with the Enneagram. So as I said at the top, we continue to unpack how he might be a different type than he thought he was coming in. So you get to explore that with us. It's really fun. Anyway, it's a rich conversation about calling, identity, and what it looks like to live from wholeness in a fragmented world. You're going to love Heath, folks. We really enjoyed this conversation. I'm so glad you're here. That's it for me, Anthony Skinner. And now, without any further ado, here is the man of the hour, Ian Cron.
Hey, everybody, you asked and we listened. We don't often get Enneagram 2s on the show. And today we have one. We are delighted to have Enneagram 2, author of the new book, All Things Together, Heath Hardesty. Welcome to Typology.
Thank you, Ian. It's a joy to be here.
You know, oftentimes people, when they learn their Enneagram type, have one of two responses with me. They go, I feel found, and then other people will say, I feel found out. In other words, I feel seen or I feel exposed. Which of those two did you feel when you learned you were an Enneagram 2?
I'm pretty sure it was the I feel seen, I feel found. I'm like, oh, that explains some things. You know, so on my healthier day, yeah, I feel seen, but maybe in an unhealthy moment, I would have been like, oh, I've been found out, you know. But yeah, it was really, really helpful in helping me understand some of my patterns, some of my relationships. And so, yeah, I definitely feel seen by it.
So on that note, what did you begin to see about yourself that you hadn't seen before?
So just the idea of being a helper, both in the positive and then like the shadow side of that, that made total sense for me. The negative of making yourself indispensable, right? Trying to make sure that you're needed, you know, out of your own needs. That shadow side was certainly there. But again, then in health, you know, wanting to help people step into flourishing was absolutely spot on for me, which I hope resonates with my friends, family, and congregation, given my pastoral role here.
Yeah. So 2s, when they're healthy, their giving is altruistic. There's no quid pro quo silent contract that they formed with the other person that if I help you, then you will help me should I need it without having to ask for it or to cop to my own personal needs. I remember I had a 2 say to me once that all 2s secretly, right, and sometimes consciously, though often unconsciously, believe that they are less needy than other people. And they don't like to cop to personal needs. So it can be altruistic. I'm giving just for the sake of giving. And then other times it's calculated and strategic, all to say. Mm-hmm. So when you learned that you were a 2, did any part of you feel kind of that pang of shame that comes when you realize, oh, sometimes my giving is all about me, my ego, and buttressing my self-esteem?
Yes, absolutely. It sent me doing some inner work for sure. Because that idea of it being strategic, being manipulative versus altruistic or authentic, had me going, okay, so what's what? But that came along a little bit later. I think when I first took the test years ago now, I think I was a little bit more not willing to see or not able to see some of that, and just like, yeah, I'm less needy. But the more I did interior work with a therapist, and just went on a journey with Jesus through this whole thing, I realized, oh man, that there's a lot of shifting shadows here. There's ulterior motives. There's aches and there's pains. There's groaning from which some of the stuff is being done. And then that manifests in ways where you can get bitter, right? You can feel the self-pity or just get bitter about things because, oh, so-and-so didn't notice what I did, or all those things, as if that's what you're looking for. So exposing the dark side of that was a journey in and of itself. It didn't happen right away when I was like, oh, two, okay, that makes sense. The good side made sense. The shadow side took a lot longer for me to really metabolize.
Are you naturally a self-reflective person who, for example, enjoys therapy because you are going into the shadows and finding out things about yourself, some of which are uncomfortable and some of which are beautiful?
Yeah, I am naturally reflective. I have a melancholic temperament. I have a autumnal soul. It's fall. It feels like it's time to write poetry and sit down and do that kind of thing. So yeah, that's my temperament.
What are you working on now in therapy, for example? What's your growth edge right now?
What's my growth edge? I think it is being deeply authentic and vulnerable in my role as a pastor. What is proper share? What is overshare? What is healthy share for the team? There's a season which I do address just a little bit in the book where there was a lot of pain and a lot of difficulty within the church, and I was questioning my leadership, and there was some relationships that were hurting, where I kind of went inside and put up walls, protective walls, kind of went into black box mode, maybe a little avoidant in some things. And I feel like I'm now come through a lot of that. So I'm on the other side of that mostly, but I'm still trying to figure out, how do I bring the full me to the party? How do I bring the full me to the team meetings? How do I bring the full me to the pulpit and the one-on-ones?
So did you grow up with a sense that there was, because you mentioned about autumnal, feeling autumnal. Did you grow up with with a sort of a haunting sense that there was something different about you, maybe even kind of broken about you that wasn't true of other people, but was kind of unique to you? Was that a part of your life?
The question does resonate deeply with me. Yeah. Yeah, they're a haunt, an ache, a peculiar, to use the word groaning again. Yeah, there was a sense of that. And sometimes, just to be super candid, sometimes it was like maybe feeling like there was a specialness, but then also other times just feeling ashamed about it. Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. So, yeah, tell me about shame in your life. Like, what role has shame played?
I think the role it has played, the word that it comes to me as often is disappointment. Not that I'm disappointed in someone or something, and not simply that I have done something that's disappointing, although that's surely there, growing up, but like being a disappointment, something fundamentally wrong. And that's where the shame piece, ties in. And not just that I've done something wrong, but that there was something wrong with who I was. So yeah, being disappointing, which then led into all sorts of different manifestations. Being very much someone who was self-righteous, moralistic before the gospel really transformed my heart later in life. I was the self-righteous moralist, who wanted to do everything right and above board, not because it was right or above board, but because I didn't want to be somehow disappointing or less. It led to being the one who was an overachiever in school, right? Trying to get the perfect grades, and so all those things, they stemmed from that ache.
Ache.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know more about the ache. I just wrote a book that came out less than a year ago, and in it I talk about the big ache, capital B, capital A. And I'm just wondering, like, because you've said longing, you've said ache, you've said autumnal, you've said a lot of interesting words so far, and I'm just curious, like, describe the ache to me. Where does it live in your body? Let's start there. Where does the ache live?
Man, it's like right in the center. It's in the deep gut. So yeah, it's and another word there is haunting. And a piece of it is like a longing for something, longing for the beautiful, a longing for the transcendental, feeling like you're right on the edge of something, but then like not quite there. So there's that yearning. And yeah, even looking at something beautiful, there's an ache for there's an ache for the what's above and beyond that's being expressed, coming through what I'm seeing. So, but yeah, the ache's kind of right in the dead center, so to speak.
And is the ache simultaneously? It sounds like it has a melancholy, sad dimension to it, but also it's bittersweet. There's something about it that is both attractive and uncomfortable at the same time, or sad at the same time.
Yeah. And there's been seasons where that ache has led to being more morose, like an unhealthy kind of. I don't know if self-pitying is the right word, but a self-centric sadness. And then there's other times where it's more oriented outwards, where there's an ache to see, those transcendentals at play, the good, the beautiful, and the true, tasted and seen and shared, and to enter into those things. Yeah, where it's more other-centered versus self-centered.
How desperately do you want to be understood by others?
I think it is a deep core longing of mine. It's probably one of the reasons why I took up pen and paper years ago, wanting to share poetry with people, trying to express the ineffable of what I was feeling, or just things about God and his creation. So yeah, that is a deep longing.
And what I mean by understood is, like, when you're having a deep conversation with somebody and it's mutual sharing, not pastoring, just another person, right? Not a congregant, because that requires a different kind of self-presentation, and there are different guardrails that are up. But just with a peer, is there a part of you that's like, I really want to make such a rich connection with this person at a deep level. I don't want to do any small talk, and I want them to understand the depths of who I am. Is that a piece? Is that like a drive for you? Because if I ask a 7 that, chances are they're not going to say yes.
Yeah. No,
or even an 8.
It is a drive. But I want to also know the deeps of the other person and their longing. And I want the deeps to meet. I'm fine with small talk. I'm fine with introductory remarks, although I don't want to stay there. Like, it's okay to wade through, but I want to like eventually swim in those deeper waters. That's where I feel like I get real energized. I can jump into a conversation and talk with somebody about whether it's philosophy, theology, or just like their emotional struggles. And I can be energized deeply by that. But if we're just straining at trying to keep each other at bay, just niceties, that's where I feel like there's more than this, man. Let's not do this.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So again, I'm curious about something. Do you ever feel like you're always becoming, but never quite arriving at who you are? Like, and you're like a little bit like, who am I? Like, do you ever feel that way? Or,
I have for like 40 years. So, but over the last couple of years, I'm feeling more comfortable in my skin, sitting easier in my role. And what I mean by that is, as a pastor, it took me some time to not feel like, why am I here? The imposter syndrome kind of thing. So yeah, as of the last couple of years, I'm feeling way more comfortable in my skin. Although part of my theological framework and construct is that, we are in process beings. We are becoming who we are, entering into our true humanity as we enter into the likeness of Christ, from one degree of glory to the next. So part of my theological construct is that, yes, I am always becoming, in that sense, becoming more and more conformed to the image of Christ, less of the phantom shifting shadows of me, and more of the Christ-like image bearer. So there's that sense, like always and not yet, but yeah, more comfortable in my skin as of late.
Okay, so if we were doing like an introductory coaching session on the Enneagram, and you told me you were a 2, and I listened to you, I would also begin to ask you, to respond to 2 prompts, right? The first prompt is, I'm going to describe your experience, and you tell me which of these 2 things sounds most like you in terms of an unconscious motivation. The first is, I have a need to meet the needs of other people and to help, right? In search of appreciation, and in order to get my own needs met, in that unspoken contract I mentioned earlier. The other one is, I have a need to be kind of special and unique in order to compensate for what I perceive as something missing in my heart or in my makeup. Yeah. Which of those 2 sounds more like you?
Well, I think the first one, but as soon as you introduce the idea of ache, I resonate with that as well. But the first one, that's where I do feel like, yeah, primarily that's the posture of my soul. Yeah. So the first.
See, it's really good for our people to hear this, because you have a lot of 4 qualities. And when 4s aren't doing great, they go to the low side of 2. They look like unhealthy 2s. Now, when 2s are doing great, they look like healthy 4s, right? So you're connected by a line on the Enneagram. But there's a lot of 4-ish kinds of qualities that you have just in your temperament and even in your energy. Did you notice that, Anthony?
Oh, 100%. Like the conversation up until you asked those 2 questions, if I had to, put my chips in, I would say 4 who maybe has had an experience of going to the lower side of 2 and stress. Yeah. Maybe that's what's been going on.
Wow.
Yeah. You have, first of all, a lot of times when 2s come on, they are a little more caffeinated than you are. Now, I don't know, maybe you're tired, maybe you're something today, but they're a little bit more, they kind of radiate this desire to be in relationship. And sometimes they're charming and quite funny. And, or you just feel them almost reaching through the screen to have relationship, right? You're more withdrawn. And in fact, you even mentioned feeling withdrawn, going inside and going into a black box before. You've used words like ineffable, haunting, beauty. You've referenced the transcendentals. I mean, I don't think I've ever had someone come on the show and reference beauty, truth, and goodness.
It's all the check boxes.
I mean, it's
I was a literature major. What can I say?
But I'm just going to say there's a lot of 4 qualities there. I'm not
We're
saying
both
you're a
4s,
4,
by the way. So we love 4s.
And I don't see a 4 in everybody. Trust me.
Yeah.
Being a 4 doesn't mean I just sort of peg everyone as a 4, but you're aching, longing, haunted, experience of beauty, truth, and goodness, pining, all these kinds of language, bittersweet. You described yourself as a melancholic personality. That's 4-ish. And, the desire to, connect at very deep levels with other people. Again, I would just say to you, if you were my coaching client, I'd say, okay, I think you should read up on 4s. And actually, I'll give you a link to my test because actually it's a really good test. And not all tests are the same. Lots of them are constructed poorly. And our test, we spent like hundreds of thousands of dollars working with research psychologists and teams to put together something that was scientifically valid as an instrument. Most of the Enneagram tests that are out there are just crap. They're just people you know what I mean? They're just not, they weren't constructed by professionals, right? And we just went out of our way to do something special. And you could be the subtype, you sound very social 4 to me, but you could be a self-pres 4 too. And self-pres 4s often look like 3s or 7s. They're called the sunny 4, but you don't so much ring like that to me. But like, who's your favorite? What kind of music do you listen to?
Oh man, it's all over the map. Well, so I'm a Gen Xer, so I grew up with the angsty, alternative rock of the 90s. But I mean, I like all sorts.
Were you a Nirvana fan?
Oh, there was a season for sure. Oh yeah, I remember the first time I heard "Smells Like Teen Spirit." I'm like, "What? Wow. What is this?"
Yeah. Well, who didn't?
Yeah,
you'd have to be dead not to realize what a great song that was.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm generally like rock, alternative, but I love instrumental. So I do a lot of my writing and just sitting, thinking, and processing with the ambient instrumental, that kind of stuff. Real moody atmospheres.
Mm-hmm.
So
a lot of your language, like Ian's already said, your energy, it just feels so 4-ish, for sure.
I wonder if some of that's because I've been in staff meetings all morning.
Well, I mean,
it's time for another cup of coffee. I don't know.
100%.
Yeah. Also, you've mentioned the word authenticity about 4 times, and how important that is to you. That's 4. 4s are very hung up on authenticity. And I mean, it's almost like a life mission for 4s. I have to be my true self. And whatever that means. So again, I'm not saying you are. Chances are you're a 2. You're right. Let's just say you are. And you just have a lot of 4 features, but you've really, you have enough features of a 4 screaming that I would be, if I were your coach, I'd say, okay, we're going to assume you're a 2, but I really want you to read up on 4s. And like a favorite movie?
Oh man, well, I'm a huge Lord of the Rings guy, and I'm just going through Lord of the Rings with my son again. So watching those movies, I'm like, I love these things. So yeah.
Oh yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
What else? Give me another one.
Christopher Nolan stuff is great. So the whole swath of Christopher Nolan stuff is awesome. Oh man, I don't know. I'm not sure. Nothing else is coming to mind right now. That's what's front of mind.
All right. So one of your favorite novels. Tell me one of your favorite novels besides Lord of the Rings.
Great Gatsby, Crime and Punishment, Brothers K, so Dostoevsky's stuff. Marilyn Robinson's Gilead. I love Gilead. So great. And Moby Dick. Now we're rolling. Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying.
So I'm a 4 now officially, right? Moby Dick's
No. But I will tell you, so I will tell you that I'm not saying a 2 couldn't like those books, but what I'm saying is All right, first of all, Gilead by Marilyn Robinson. That is a 4 novel. It is slow and beautiful. The language is exquisite. There's not a sentence that's wasted. You can hardly read that book and not cry on every page. It's so beautiful. When you start talking about Dostoevsky, Crime and Punishment, Brothers Karamazov, any of those books, like, did you, this will tell me, what was your favorite novel in high school? Let's see if we can get him on this one, Anthony. You know where it's going.
Yes.
I'm just curious to know.
My favorite novel in high school?
Yeah, that you had to read in English class. Do you remember?
Well, honestly, so the 3 that really did something to my soul that made me want to pursue literature was I read Heart of Darkness by Conrad. I read... Yeah, there you go. I mean, is it a book? It's a novella, but it's amazing. And then Dostoevsky, Crime and Punishment, and Great Gatsby. Those 3 plus. Then, if you want to stray into the territory of poetry, it was Eliot. It was The Wasteland. It was The Hollow Men. It was the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock, and that led me to Gerard Manley Hopkins, and I love Gerard Manley Hopkins and John Donne, and so the metaphysical poets. Yeah.
All right. So I was an English major, and like you're reading, like, all right. In the Brothers Karamazov, who was your favorite character in the Brothers Karamazov?
Well, that's not fair. How about you? Who do you think? Come on. Who do you think?
If you were a 4, I would think Father Zosima.
Well, maybe I'm a 4 then.
Was Father Zosima your favorite character? It was.
So, yeah, I mean, maybe my literature is pointing me towards a 4. I don't know.
Dude, T.S. Eliot.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, look. All right. So if you look at my shelf right behind me right now, right there is all of Dostoevsky. Next,
okay.
One shelf down is all Eliot. Right.
Amazing.
Particularly the 4 quartets. Every time I read the 4 quartets, just absolutely fry my brain.
Yeah, they're gorgeous.
And you just named, now the one book that usually 4s will tell me they love, and by the way, you told me books that eclipse this one for being a 4. Like the fact that, I mean, Hopkins, these are 4-ish, like this is where 4s live in the kind, I mean, Moby Dick.
Oh yeah.
My best friend who's a 4, you know this, Anthony, Rob Mathis. Rob Mathis memorized the first 3 chapters of Moby Dick. He knows it by heart.
That's amazing. If I could just memorize chapter 1 loomings, like that would be great.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just telling you, Heath. I know we're supposed to be talking about your 2-ness right now, but I'm just telling you.
We can go to 4.
I know. I'm just saying. So you're connected to 2 on a line. Mm-hmm. So part of it also may be, well, here's a question. What would you be if you weren't a pastor? What would be your dream job if you weren't a pastor?
Well, honestly, it's what I've been wandering into with writing. Like my dream job would be to write.
What do you want to write? What kind of book do you what kind of book do you dream about? That no publisher might. Don't worry about publishing or what would get sold or what. Just if you could write what kind of books would you write? What book would you write?
Well, I would love to do a couple things, but I absolutely would love to write a great novel that just explores the soul, you know? So like, that's what those Dostoevsky books do, right? He's uncovering like the contours of the human soul and tragedy and joy. And so, I would love to write a great novel someday. I would love to write a collection of poetry, you know, like 4 quartets. It's just stunning and takes you to places that your brain normally wouldn't go. And I find a home in those places. So poetry and novels. But yeah, Madeline L'Engle once said, and then it's kind of quoted in Marilyn Robinson. She once said that writing is a form of prayer, right? And for me, writing is that place where I feel like I get to commune with God and bring unconscious things conscious, dredge those things up. And I feel at home there. So I would love to write a number of things, but yeah, a great novel someday would be wonderful. Or collections of poetry.
Like I said, I would have pushed all my chips in on 4, and I'm walking away. I'm walking away with the winnings today.
Yeah. Well, I hope you put a lot of money in there.
Maybe.
I know. I'm making a point.
I don't really want to be the guy that tells you you're wrong, because I could be very wrong. I don't know you, but if you were my coaching client, I'd be like, And the other thing is, it would make a huge difference for you to know. Like a big difference. Because here's the deal. I was a pastor as a 4, okay, at one time. And oftentimes we are contextually thrown into situations where we have to be like 2s. And so it could be very easy to believe you were a 2 because contextually you spend so much time trying to live up to people's expectations of you meeting their needs.
100%.
So, whereas you, I would love it if you read up on 4, and if you do turn out to think you're a 4, you need to come back on the show, because we could really explore some stuff. By the way, I bet, is Little Getting your favorite of the 4 quartets?
Oh yeah. Is it yours?
Yes. I mean, listen. Because it's so 4. It's about that whole set of poems is about time.
Oh yeah.
And about the passage of time, the meaning of time.
Yeah, I always say I have a strained relationship with time. Like there's
tell me more.
That there's a strange push and pull. Like, and I know everyone has this to some degree, but like, there's certain events that literally feel like I'm in them when I close my eyes, but it happened 10, 15 years ago. And I'm not talking necessarily like traumatic events. I'm just talking ordinary, everyday events. So it's like, I talk about time in the book and the chapter on unhurried presence, about actually being present in the moment we're in, but that there is this challenge of being like a being shaped for eternity, living in this like sway of cause and effect of time, and that sometimes I'm ill at ease in it, like a cat thrown into a river. It's just like it's moving and it's not at ease in it. So. Yeah, time often shows up in my poetry or my writings.
As you know, I believe the Enneagram is one of the most powerful tools for developing self-awareness. But to gain the benefits, you need to know your type. Taking an Enneagram assessment is the first step toward understanding yourself and the people around you. It offers insights that can enhance your self-awareness, personal growth, emotional intelligence, your relationships. It's not just a one-time test. It's a lifelong tool that will help you navigate life with more clarity, purpose, and empathy. And now, when you take my brand new Typology Institute Enneagram assessment, you'll receive a research-backed, scientifically evidenced, comprehensive report that's easy to understand. Not only will you learn your dominant Enneagram type, but you'll gain insight into aspects of the Enneagram most other assessments don't cover, such as your dominant wing, your subtype, orientation to time, and even stances. Get your results today at typologyinstitute.com/assessment. Enter the discount code Typology Podcast on the checkout page to get 10% off your assessment. Again, that's typologyinstitute.com/assessment and enter Typology Podcast for 10% off. Okay. This has been so fascinating. And again, I'm not telling you you're not a 2. I could absolutely be wrong. I could absolutely be wrong. But again, I would strongly recommend reading up on 4s.
Yeah.
Grab a copy of my book, The Road Back to You, or grab a copy of Beatrice Chestnut's book, The Complete Enneagram. Just read up on 4s and look and read all 3 subtypes of 4. Beatrice's book would go into the subtypes.
Okay.
I want to talk obviously about your book, All Things Together, because that's in part why we're here. But this has been amazing, right?
Well, I guarantee you, my wife and I are going to be talking about whether I'm a 4 or 2 tonight.
What's your wife's type?
She's a 9. She's most definitely a 9.
Okay. Question for you.
Yeah.
Has your wife ever told you that you are emotionally too complicated? She wouldn't say it that way, but do you think she would say, yeah, he's a complicated dude?
Yes. I mean, primarily, she wouldn't say it that way, but she would say like, yeah, there's something going on there in my emotions for sure. Yeah.
Are your emotions, would you describe your emotions, even though you may not present this way to other people, as being big and like you have a big emotional vocabulary inside?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I don't feel like it's just black or white, it's this or this. I feel like there's lots of categories. There's lots of words, and I'm always trying to put words to like, so what is this that I'm feeling? Is this anger? Is this frustration? Is this irritability? So trying to like pinpoint what is actually happening. And some of them are complex. They're a mixture, a mixture of the two. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So the nuances of feeling is what you're describing, right?
Yeah. And that's why I love some of these, big literary words, because they take you into categories that are outside of either this or that. But it's like there's a mixture of these things. Like you said, there's the bittersweet, there's the near and the far. These things that kind of meld together in certain ways. So yeah, I like not to categorize them in like some scientific fashion. Say there, I got it figured out and done, moving on. But to at least get acquainted with like what is this that's actually going on, because these big categories aren't sufficient for helping me navigate this.
Fascinating. Okay, so the book is about apprenticeship with Jesus, and what's the role, do you think, of self-discovery and self-awareness in apprenticeship?
Yeah, well, so one of the key claims of the book is that what sin does is it dehumanizes us. We are disintegrated. We're not operating out of the integrity of being the image bearer that we're designed to be. And as we follow Christ, because of his Spirit, because we're united to him, because of what he's done, now that we have this with God life, we are to then to be with him, to obey him, to live in accordance to the way that he's designed the world, and to enter further into that shalom, that like 3-dimensional peace that he has created us for. So there's a lot of that self-discovery, understanding what is the shadow within us. But maybe more directly to answer your question, I'd actually honestly refer back to, Calvin's Institutes here, where he says, any knowledge that's sound, any wisdom that's sound is comprised of 2 things. One, first knowledge of God, and then knowledge of self. And we need knowledge of God. We need a light outside of ourselves to really see ourselves. Like if I'm standing in a bathroom and I want to see myself in the mirror, but there's no light on, and it doesn't matter how close I get to the mirror. If I'm in darkness, like the closer I get to the mirror, I still can't see who I am. So I think our anthropology needs theology. We need that revelation. We need knowledge of God to really know who we are, and we need others to know who we are. And he's the ultimate other, right? The triune other. So yeah, we need knowledge of who he is, and he's revealed himself to us in Christ in order to see who we truly are. So a journey of apprenticeship, long story short, a journey of apprenticeship into following Jesus will include growing self-knowledge of who we are, and exposing those parts of our souls that have remained hidden for a long time, the good and the bad.
Yeah. So you're a Merton fan, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's on the list. There's a long list.
Yeah. Merton's a pretty 4 writer, by the way. And actually 4 and 5. Uh, he strikes me as a 4 with a 5 wing because he writes so beautifully about the false self that we construct and that actually is illusory because it doesn't exist. He says, and that is, even God doesn't know who it is because he didn't create it. It's what we created. And it's what we want others to believe about us and what we want to believe about ourselves. And we're so good at doing it that we actually do convince ourselves that we are the false self we project or present to the world. So when you read like New Seeds of Contemplation, right? And Merton talks in chapter 5 about all this kind of stuff. And if you're a 2, 3, or 4, it doesn't matter, right? Like projecting images is something all 3 of those types do. What role does the dismantlement of the ego and of the false self play in your book and in your life?
Well, it's really hard to walk out our calling of being people of love and joy and peace and hope when you're trying to maintain an illusion, when you're trying to walk out and live a deception. You got to be on your guard. You can't be vulnerable, and then you're going to carry a sense of some shame, of some incongruence between your inner world and your outer world. And a huge piece of this book is saying like we're called to be congruent inside and out. That in union with Christ by the power of His Spirit, we grow more and more coherent and more congruent. So yeah, that dismantling, like coming to terms with, our deep need, being vulnerable, coming out of hiding. I just think of Genesis 3 right there. Like, we go into hiding. Humanity goes into hiding. What does God do? He comes and he doesn't heap the shame on, but he calls them into a relationship, a grace-born relationship with his questions, like, where are you? And he engages them in relationship. And so if we're not willing to have that kind of engaging relationship where God's calling us out of hiding and out of shame, which is like a part of the opposite paradigm of apprenticeship, which I can talk about. It's like the opposite of what it means to be in union with him. Then what are we doing? We're masking, we're playing a game, we're baptizing a bunch of actions with religious language, but are we really living a with God life if we have to hide from Him or ourselves, who we really are? So yeah, the dismantle and then the rebuild or the regenerate from the pulling apart is absolutely a downward. It's like a down. It's a downward ascent, right? You got to go down. It's like it's honestly the master's pattern in all of Scripture. We see it in Jesus, right? The Savior had to come and suffer and then die and then rise to glory and then be the light. I mean, Paul preaches it. Jesus says it in Acts 24. It's in Joseph's story. It's all throughout the Old Testament. It's that downward ascent. That's that dismantling.
Yeah. It's also right. Star Wars and Pinocchio. And, well, it makes sense, though. It's also in The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Yeah.
That pattern, Joseph Campbell, Hero's Journey, that pattern is all over it's Odysseus, it's the Odyssey, right? Homer's Odyssey. That pattern appears everywhere in literature, not just in the Gospels, which is not in any way, shape, or form to say that the Gospels are unoriginal. It's just that seems to be the makeup of the universe, right? Of the world.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a basic structure to existence. Yeah.
So if you had to think about something in your own life right now, like, let's take Pinocchio, because he's awesome. Where you're born, you're not a real boy or a real girl. And there are strings pulling you, forces, unconscious forces, right? Yanking you around through life, right? With or without your knowledge. You go on all kinds of misadventures, as he did, and then you have to die, like he did, in order to rise again, and then have the blue fairy tell you, now you're a real boy. So what in your life? Where are you at this current moment? Are you in the misadventure stage, the birth stage, the death stage, And what is it in you right now that has to die for you to go to the next place of life? What do you sense?
Oh man, Ian. Well, even though I mentioned I have, kind of that posture of soul that's autumnal, I feel like honestly, this past year and a half has been a season of spring. There was some long years where it felt like always winter, never Christmas, and it just felt rough going through a lot of misadventures.
Yeah.
So I had to get my Narnia reference in at some point, right? This season feels very much like a spring and awakening. We had a sweet baby girl born last December. Her name's Ruby. She's been a catalyst for radical joy in my family. The rest of the kids are just loving having baby sister. My wife's flourishing. I just can't wait to see her every day. Ruby's awesome. So there's that. The church is in a really fantastic season. Like I said, I'm feeling more comfortable in my skin. The fact that this book is out there, and it's been a long desire to have the book out there, and it's it's living and breathing out there. So it's a season of spring for me. That said, what has to die? That was the second part of your question, right? Like what needs to die in me?
Yeah, because I think at any stage of life, anyone who's self-aware and doing spiritual work is aware of something that needs, and when I mean die, I mean like it would be really good news if it did.
Yeah. What needs to die in me? Obviously, every day I'm getting older. We all are, but there sometimes in my head I can still feel like a little boy, and so I think what needs to die is just some old paradigms of that like no, I am getting older. What season of life am I in? Am I willing to let go of that season of misadventures? And what does it look like to honestly, earnestly pour into the next generation of leaders? What does that mean for me and my role in relinquishing things that I've done for a long time? So I think what needs to die is my understanding of what season I'm in as I enter into like a whole new life stage for me. So that's it at the macro level. I don't know. My wife would say there's lots of habits and other things that need to die in my life.
Yeah, I'm not so interested. Habits aren't as interesting as other sort of deeper ideas. I have just a sidebar question. Is there a part of you as you get older that is more drawn to a Eucharistic and liturgical life? Or are you sort of happy in the non-denominational? I don't know your church. Maybe it is all those things. But tell me if that...
Fascinating question. Yes. Yet also we are liturgical in many ways. So though we are a non-denominational church, it's called Valley Community Church. So it's a community church. It is highly liturgical in the sense of, we've structured our services with a story arc. There's the call to worship. There's the songs that then bring you in and usher you in. There's a community moment within there. Now that you've been invited in, there is the message itself, which always arcs and leads to the proclamation of Jesus, which results in the table. We take communion. We come to the table every Sunday. So it's the culmination of the preaching of the word. And we have confession, we have assurance, and then we have response time. So that's prayer as well as communion, and then song, and then we end with a doxology, a benediction, sending people out as the people of God. So there's a highly liturgical arc to the services themselves. But yes, as I have grown older, I'm becoming more and more drawn to those sacred rhythms that we get to enter into as a community.
So I'll say something else. And forgive me if this is presumptuous. We will probably never meet. Just an intuition that I have. This would require some unpacking, but I'll just say it. You feel more like a priest than a minister to me.
What do you mean by that?
Exactly. It's hard to unpack. So I come from a tradition where we have priests. I was raised a Catholic. I'm an Episcopalian, and it's more of a hunch I have about you, but being a priest is more ontological than it is vocational.
Mm.
It's more about your being than it is about something that you were called to do and became. It's almost like I can look back to what I was like as a little boy, and I think I even knew then I was a priest. There was just something about the world. Like, okay, I even saw the world, unlike most Protestants who really see the world dialectically and also as kind of missing, how would I say this? As a result of the fall, is somewhat bereft or absent of God. A Catholic or sacramental imagination sees the world as brimming with God. And a lot of the authors that you mentioned have that imagination.
The world is charged with the grandeur of God. Gerard Manley Hopkins.
Right? Or you probably love Flannery O'Connor.
Oh, I love Flannery.
Yeah, that's a Catholic imagination. Walker Percy.
Oh, yeah, Love in the Ruins, great book.
Yeah. Okay, so those, it would require a lot to unpack what I just said, but I've had this conversation with one other person in my life where I'm like, are you sure you're not a priest? and that person ended up becoming a priest. Yeah, you have a quality, and this may seem very obscure to our listeners, what I'm saying. But yeah, it's just
well, I think the world is a sacramental world. And that's one of the reasons why I love to look out on nature and see. I just wrote the other day about these hawks hunting, and it's like there's something sacramental about this. I'm seeing something in and through what's happening, right?
Yes. Yeah. And you also see metaphor everywhere.
Oh, people say I live in metaphor land. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. So not only are you describing a four again, you're also really describing. I mean, when you go to clergy conferences, do you feel a little bit like a weird duck? Like other people see the world analytically, discursively, or theologically, and you're like, it's deeper than that. It's more than that. And you feel almost like an artist with these people in a way that doesn't, like there's some dissonance there.
Yeah, yes, I do wrestle with that, to be honest. Because I believe that sermons should not simply be functional or efficient, but have a sense of poetry and beauty about them. Writing this book, I wanted the form to echo the content, not just be like, here's some data about theology, because the form matters, the beauty matters. It's not just about getting stuff done. It's about walking with people. Like, to be in the room with another human being is to sit in a room with another being that has a spirit of God living within them, and like some kind of incredible a meeting of the spirit is happening. So that is a mystical, beautiful, and powerful thing to be a steward of the mysteries of God. It's not like just to do ministerial functions. Like, there's a difference between those two. So I want to steward the mysteries of God well, so I wrestle with what does that look like and how do we do that well? And of course, there's the logistics and there's the staff care and all those things. I'm not wired as an executive pastor. You could probably tell that right away. But how do you do these things well? And I'm on that journey.
Well, this has been a really rich conversation. And I know we were supposed to talk. All right, everyone, listen up to me. Y'all need to go get the book, All Things Together, How Apprenticeship to Jesus is the Way of Flourishing in a Fragmented World, by our friend Heath Hardesty. Though we did not get into it, we did to get to some of it. We got into some pretty good territory here. Really fascinating. And yeah, I've got a couple of books for you to read. One, did you read Schmeman's book, For the Life of the World?
I have not, no.
Might be a good book for you.
I'll put him on my list.
For the Life of the World. Alexander Schmemann, was an Eastern Orthodox priest. I'd just be curious to see what you think of that. But Man, what a rich conversation. I loved it. And I want you to tell me, you can just send me an email saying, I'm still a 2. I am a 2. Or you could write me back and say, can we have another conversation? Let's talk about 4s, and I'd be happy to do that, because I think you're complicated, interesting, charming, likable, but I sense also let's find out.
Yeah. Well, I'll do some work and I'll let you know. Yeah.
All right, Anthony, do some work, would you? And all of you listening, do your work too. And until we see each other or hear each other again, may you have love, may you have joy, may you have peace, may you have healing, and may you have rest. Until next time.